and welcome to our viewers joining us from all around the world. I'm Rosemary Church and this is CNN Newsroom. This will be an historic and contentious week in the battle to confirm US Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh as he denies a new allegation against him. In just days, Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford are set to testify publicly in a closely watched hearing, even as Democrats are demanding an immediate halt to Kavanaugh's nomination process. Ford, a research psychologist and professor, has agreed to tell her story before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. She alleges Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed and tried to remove her clothes during a house party when they were both teenagers. Kavanaugh firmly denies that ever happened. Meanwhile, the White House and Kavanaugh are also denying a new accusation against him of inappropriate sexual behavior. This accusation is coming from a woman who says she attended Yale University at the same time as Kavanaugh. The New Yorker magazine reports that 53-year-old Deborah Ramirez remembers Kavanaugh exposing himself to her at a college dorm party during the 1983-84 school year. However, two other people who Ramirez says were present at the party issued a statement to the New Yorker saying they never heard that such an incident occurred. CNN has not corroborated her story. Kavanaugh said in a statement, and I'm quoting here, "This alleged event from 35 years ago did not happen. The people who knew me then know that this did not happen and have said so. This is a smear, plain and simple. I look forward to testifying on Thursday about the truth and defending my good name and the reputation for character and integrity I have spent a lifetime building against these last-minute allegations."
And the Trump administration is taking a major step against affirmative action and will now encourage schools and universities not to consider race when deciding which students should be admitted. On Tuesday, the administration reversed Obama-era policies, which outlined how schools could legally consider race as a factor to diversify their student body. 2 years ago, the swing vote of the Supreme Court, Justice Anthony Kennedy reaffirmed that schools can constitutionally consider race as one of many factors during the admissions process. But now, Justice Kennedy is retiring, and there is a lot up in the air. CNN legal analyst and civil rights attorney Arifa Martin joins me now.
Well, here in the United States, the president is attacking Amazon again with claims that are not backed by facts. Trump tweeted the U.S. Postal Service loses money on each Amazon package it delivers. The president also accused the Washington Post of being a lobbyist for Amazon. Here's a fact check. Amazon actually pays the same as other bulk shippers. The U.S. Postal Service says its deal with Amazon is mutually beneficial. And while both the Washington Post and Amazon have the same owner, Jeff Bezos, they operate independently. Amazon does not have a stake in the newspaper.
And another target of the president's Twitter fury is Mexico. Mr. Trump again threatened to scrap NAFTA, accusing Mexican leaders of doing, quote, very little, if not nothing, to stop migrants from entering the U.S. But the president's attack on Mexico is factually inaccurate. With the help of U.S. aid, Mexico is not only doing something on border security, it's sometimes more than the U.S. is doing. Non-partisan researchers found that Mexico deported roughly twice as many Central American immigrants as the U.S. did in 2015 and 2016. Experts also found that Mexico has apprehended tens of thousands more Central Americans than the U.S. did at the border in 2015. Well, President Trump is also citing a march of migrants crossing Mexico right now to fuel his Twitter attacks. Meanwhile, Mexican leaders are defending their country's immigration laws. Our Leila Santiago has more now from Mexico City.
Dozens of migrants fleeing violence and poverty in Central America have reached the U.S. border now, and they're seeking asylum. They've spent about a month crossing Mexico, sometimes on foot or hitchhiking, sleeping in tents, all of this to find a better life.
Now they're planning to follow asylum law and are turning themselves in to U.S. border authorities. But they're afraid they may be deported if they're not granted asylum, and mothers fear being separated from their children. President Trump says he told his Homeland Security Secretary not to let these migrants into the country.
And some 50 migrants have been admitted into a processing center at a point of entry in San Diego that's near Tijuana on the border. But Border Patrol agents say they're now at full capacity. However, dozens more plan to stay outside that processing center until authorities consider their case.
After almost 2 years behind bars in Venezuela, an American citizen and his wife are free, and they are starting their lives again here in the United States. Josh Holt finally able to see and hug his mother. Just take a look at that. The Venezuelan government says Josh and his wife Tammy were released to maintain respectful diplomatic relations with the United States. They were arrested shortly after they got married in Venezuela, and they were held without trial on espionage and terrorism charges. Just last week, Josh survived a prison riot. On Saturday, he was thankful when President Trump welcomed him to the White House.
I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for you guys, for everything that you've done, for the support of my wife through those 2 years. They were very, very, very difficult 2 years. Not really the great vacation that I was looking for, but we're still together. Starting off a marriage rough, but now we're going to be together, and I'm just so grateful for what you guys have done and for thinking about me and caring about me, just a normal person. So it really touches me, and thank you.
The balance of power in the Syrian civil war appears to be changing. The presidents of Russia, Iran and Turkey, the prominent proxy players in this battle, are set to meet in a few hours to discuss a political solution. After 7 years, the underlying causes of the war remain largely unresolved. But Russia has given the Syrian government a military advantage. Eastern Ghouta is the latest regime conquest. Look at this map with me. It shows rebels controlled the enclave just a little over a month ago, where President Assad's forces have since retaken most of the Damascus suburb in a military offensive widely condemned internationally. Only the enclave of Duma remains under rebel control. But now we're getting reports that some members of the most powerful rebel group in Duma have started to evacuate. CNN is reporting from inside the war-torn country right now, and our own Frederick Pleitgen has more from Eastern Ghouta.
This Is America, the new single by Childish Gambino, a.k.a. Donald Glover, is much more than a critique of gun violence and police brutality in the U.S. The award-winning actor, writer and musician offers his perspective on African-American life, and he does it through a powerful music video.
All right, well, here's one take that this is exploring America as a chaotic room in which violence and celebration exist at the same time against the backdrop of social injustices. The video is taking on lots of things here. It's exploring the relationship between black culture, media consumption, and racism.
Contraband, 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 contraband. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America.